He collapsed right in the middle of a packed courtroom. He was one of this country's most distinguished trial lawyers. He was also a man who was well known for the $3,000 Italian suits, which draped his well fed frame as for his remarkable string of legal victories. I simply stood there, paralyzed by the shock of what I had just witnessed. The great Julian Mental had been reduced to a victim and was now squirming on the ground like a helpless infant, shaking and shivering and sweating like a maniac. I had known Julian for 17 years. We had first met when I was a young law student hired by one of his partners as a summer research intern. Back then, he had had it all. He was a brilliant, handsome, and fearless trial attorney with dreams of greatness. Julian was a firm's young star. He was tough, hard driving, and willing to work 18-hour days for the success he believed was his destiny. Julian's outrageous courtroom theatrics regularly made the front pages of the newspapers. His extracurricular activities were probably as well known. Late night visits to the city's finest restaurants with sexy young fashion models or reckless drinking escapades with the rowdy bands of brokers he called his demolition team became the stuff of legend. I still can't figure out why he picked me to work with him on that sensational murder case. He was to argue that first summer. Though I had graduated from Harvard Law School, his alma mater. I certainly wasn't the brightest intern at the firm. At Julian's invitation, I stayed on at the firm as an associate. And a lasting friendship quickly developed between us. I will admit that he wasn't the easiest lawyer to work with. Serving as his junior was often an exercise in frustration, leading to more than a few late night shouting matches. However, beneath his crusty exterior was a person who clearly cared about people. No matter how busy he was, he would always ask about Jenny, the woman I still call my bride. On finding out from another summer intern that I was in a financial squeeze, Julian arranged for me to receive a generous scholarship. Sure, he could play handball with the best of them, and sure, he loved to have a wild time, but he never neglected his friends. The real problem was that Julian was obsessed with work. For the first few years, he justified his long hours by saying that he was doing it for the good of the firm. As time passed, however, Julian's reputation for brilliance spread and his workload continued to increase. In his rare moments of quiet, he confided that he could no longer sleep for more than a couple of hours without waking up feeling guilty that he was not working on file. It soon became clear to me that he was being consumed by the hunger of more prestige, more glory, more money. As expected, Julian became enormously successful. He achieved everything most people could ever want: a stellar professional reputation with an income in seven figures, a spectacular mansion, a private jet, and his prized profession, a shiny red Ferrari parked in the corner of his driveway. At 53 years of age, Julian looked as if he was in his late 70s. His face was a mass of wrinkles, a less than glorious tribute to his take no prisoners approach to life in general and the tremendous stress of his out of balance lifestyle in particular. The late night dinners in expensive French restaurants, smoking thick Cuban cigars and drinking cognac after cognac had left him embarrassingly overweight. He constantly complained that he was sick and tired. Julian's once enthusiastic nature had been replaced by a deadly somberness. Personally, I think that his life had lost all sense of purpose. Almost every day, he would tell me that he felt no passion for what he was doing and was enveloped by emptiness. Julian said that as a young lawyer, he really loved the law. The law's complexities and intellectual challenges had kept him spellbound and full of energy. Its power to effect social change had inspired and motivated him. That vision gave his life meaning. It gave him a purpose and it fueled his hopes. There was even more to Julian undoing that rusty connection to what he did for a living. He was suffered some great tragedy before I had joined the firm. Something truly unspeakable had happened to him, but I couldn't get anyone to open about it. Whatever this deep, dark secret was, I had a suspicion that it, in some way, was contributing to Julian's downward spiral. Sure, I was curious, but most of all, I wanted to help him. He was not only my mentor, he was my best friend. And then it happened, this massive heart attack that brought the brilliant Julian mental back down to earth and reconnected him to his mortality.